Alright, so in this video, I'm going to show you how I start my seeds, and this is basically the method I usually use. And I usually get a 80 to 90% success rate. Yes, there is a little bit of damping off here and there. It does happen. It's not perfect. If I take the time out to sterilize all my seed trays from the year before, probably reduce it another 10%. But I find that really no matter what you do, you always seem to get some kind of dampening off when you start your seeds indoors. When I do it outdoors, I don't seem to have that problem. So when I do my seed starts in my greenhouse, I almost don't get any damping off. But we're doing it indoors. I'm actually behind schedule. This is already basically the 15th of April, which is the middle of April. I should have actually started doing this around the last week of March. It's just I'm too busy with many other things right now. So I'm just getting around to it today, but I figured I'd show you how I start my seeds and really how simple it is. I mean, there's a lot of good videos on how to start tomato seeds and pepper seeds and stuff, and that's generally what I use this for. And they're all good videos, but I do mine very simply and plant them and done. It's not, I don't make a complicated process out of this. Though if you want to, you can. But for me, I don't make any special soil mixes. I basically just grab the organic soil that's over here to the right. I'll show you that in a minute. I put it inside of a cup. Now this soil is soaking wet. Unfortunately, I don't have time to wait for it to dry out because I just don't have time. It's been raining out for the last 3 days nonstop, and it's just basically rain, and it's, we got almost 2 inches of rain between the last time it didn't rain and now. It's just been raining, and this bag has been sitting out in the rain, and it's just soaking up that water like crazy. So it is a little bit more wet than I would actually like, so it's going to make filling these seed trays a little bit more difficult, but nevertheless, I'll still be able to fill them. So what we'll do is I'll fill one tray for you. I'll show you how I do it. I'll shut the camera off, then I'll fill them all. I'll show you how I make these tags for my seeds. So I have the tags for them. And then I will show you how I plant. And it's really very easy. It's nothing really complicated, but we'll go over all of that as I do this video. All right, so the first thing I do is I take a cup like this. I like to use these old soda cups. And I basically use this to just sprinkle in the dirt. Now, this isn't the best soil starting mix to do this with. Believe it or not, you probably should use a seed starter mix. But I like this soil. You can see there's a lot of pieces of wood in here and stuff, a lot of heavy organic matter. Generally, you don't want that for starting seeds. You kind of want a nice, loomy, soft soil. If you don't have like all these pieces in it, they don't really get in the way. But I find as long as if you get the soil in there and you grade it off pretty nicely, it doesn't really matter because the plant's going to start and grow in it and it's going to do just fine. So you don't have to buy a seed starter mix per se. Though, if you want to spend the money on seed starter mix, then go for it because it is a nice finer material. It's easier to work with and etc., etc., etc. Whereas this stuff is really raw. But basically you're going to get the same kind of results in the end. Also, too, what I like about using regular soil like this as opposed to seed starting mix is that after a while this soil is going to set up nice and firm because right now it's really wet. So if it wasn't this wet and I put it in like normal moisture and it's kind of dry but still loose, if I put that in there, I'm still going to water it kind of heavy just so it does settle down and it forms like a cake. I do want that effect, so when I pop the starts out of there, it comes out in one piece. And I do find that this type of soil seems to set up pretty nicely as opposed to seed starter mix. Seed starter mix has really got to sit around a while, and then it kind of cakes up nicely. And that ball won't really break apart when you're trying to get it out of these, because sometimes it's a real pain in the neck to get these out of your starts. A lot of the times I just take a spoon and I spoon them out. Because no matter what you do, it's just a nightmare getting them out of these little seed starting trays. So basically what I do is I just, put my soil on there. I don't really press it down. Some guys, this is so wet. I don't know if I actually need to really press this down. Yeah, I guess I should, you know. Just, that does help form the ball too, by the way. And it takes out any voids. Yeah, in this case, I have no choice. I really do got. But a lot of times, I don't even press them down. See, there's a piece of wood in there, like that. You see that? So it's in there. It's not a big deal. It's just, you know, you're trying to get the best conditions. See how wet and clumpy it is? I got to break it up. It's kind of a messy job. Normally, when the soil's at the right moisture level and it's not really clumpy and really wet like that, I can just take that whole cup out and just pour it basically over the whole top of the thing, and then I just sweep it, you know, sweep it down or push it down a little bit first and just sweep it across, and I'm done. I can fill all these trays in no time. But because it's so wet and clumpy, it's really going to be time consuming to do this. But nevertheless, it'll still work. You know, I'm not trying to pack them down too much. I do like them a little loose because that gives those roots a nice, easy, they push right through, you know. They push right through the soil. And so that's basically what I do. I just did that one for you. Just so you can see what I did here. Put this one here. Come on. These seed starting trays, I get all these from Lowe's for free. I just go there and I pick them up. They throw them out at the end of the year. And I pick them up and I just use those. I don't even need to buy seed starting trays. So it's a good idea for you to go like mid to late spring when the plants they're starting to get ready to get rid of their old tomato plants and pepper plants and stuff like that. Nobody's buying them anymore, so they just take those and throw them in the dumpster. It's a good idea for you to, if you can, without getting in trouble, go there and do a little dumpster diving. You can pick these trays up, these little watering trays. You can get all these little things here, and you don't need to pay for them. Though, if you like the ones that you buy with the little hood on it, that's fine too. You can do that, but they're $5 to $10 each. Those are $15 or something. And I bought those, and they don't really last long. They break apart really easily. So I like to I dumpster dive and grab these. And a lot of times I go over there and I'll ask the manager, hey, you mind if I just do a little dumpster dive and let me pull these out of here? A lot of times, because I go there a lot, they're like, yeah, take whatever you want. And they also keep these on a shelf. So you'll go there, and there's like this shelf in the front with all empty pots and stuff in there. They're like, yeah, take whatever you want. I usually clean them all out for the seed starts, and I take a bunch of pots with me. So yeah, you could do that too. I did a video about that, how to go over to Lowe's and get free pots and stuff. Or Home Depot, you could try them. That's how I get my trays for free. I don't really buy these. And in fact, these particular ones that you're looking at, I've had these so long. Look, you see that they're torn over here and everything? I don't really care about that. It doesn't make a difference. It's just easier for me to get the thing out of it when I'm done. When this is sitting in this tray, you don't worry about that. You're filling it with soil anyway. So it's going to press up against there. It's going to kind of ball up a little bit, you know, cake up. And your seed's going to form roots. And by the time you get this outside, it's going to be a little bit of a root ball there. You're good to go, you know. Also, too, with my seed starting trays, I generally like to start my seed trays in larger containers. I don't really care. Like this is actually pretty big. That's not too bad. All right, that size isn't bad if you're looking at that like that, you know. That's not bad. This is good. You see how deep these are? They're just a pain in the neck to get the root balls out. This is the best right here. These right here. You see these 4 square like that? Those are the best. You can let that plant get pretty big inside of those things. But I don't plan on leaving them out here too long. I plan on 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're going out. Within 3 weeks, I should be able to get into the greenhouse by mid-May, something like that, you know, somewhere around there. But that's the size that I look for. Also, that's another size that I like to use. If I could get one out for you. Here's another size, which is basically a little bit smaller than that, but it's perfect. That is so easy for you to pop the root ball out when you're done. It's just, it comes out in one piece and you're done. And you can fill a whole tray full of these things just like this. You fill up a whole tray or two of those with those things and you're good. You just pop them out individually. You don't have to worry about like this. When you go to take out one of the root balls, you got to turn the whole thing upside down, which is a pain in the neck because you may not want to take out all 6 of them, you know, you just want the one. So they're kind of a pain in the neck. I like those better. They're a little more of a pain in the neck to set up, but they're definitely better in the long run, because when you're done with those and you're ready to plant, it's just one at a time. You don't have problems turning the whole thing upside down and maybe breaking a stem or something on the other ones. It could happen, you know. So you want to let these grow a little bit like this inside these trays. So let me fill up all the rest of these with the soil. I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit how I make my tags. And then we'll plant one set of seeds for you, and we'll end the video. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, so I finally got them done. And that one bag that was 1.5 cubic feet basically filled all these 6 trays, except on the very end over there, not filled. I didn't have enough soil to fill those, so I'll have to get some other soil to fill them. I may not even need them, to be honest with you, because I'm not going to probably grow more than what you see here. And each cube is going to be a variety. So I'm going to put, 4 seeds in there. I'm going to grow 4 seeds in each one. And I'm going to keep the best of the 3 and then probably either chuck the other 3 or pull them, or maybe I'll try to keep them. A lot of times with peppers I try to do that. And sometimes with tomatoes you can get away with that. Not really worried about that this year. I really don't have the room or the time this year to really plant that many peppers and tomatoes. I only got enough soil to do only so many plants. So, but that's what I'll do. I'll put like 3 to 4 in each cube of each variety, and then I will label those. And how I make my labels is I go to the store and I get these mini blinds. You could buy a whole mini blind for $5. There's enough spines on that mini blind to do like, I don't know, 1,000 of these little tags. When I cut it, I'm basically get something like this, okay? And this is perfect for these little seed trays, and then I stick these in the pots, and generally it's good for 1 year. A lot of times you can get away with it for 2 years if the sun's not beating on it. But basically what I do is I take it like this, cut it, then I cut it up the middle. Make sure you're on camera. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then basically a cut like that, a cut like that, and you're left with one of these little tags, and you can write your name on there of the seed that you're going to use on there, and you're good to go. And that's it. And I use this for the marker, these Sharpie markers, and they're generally pretty good, but if you put them in the sun, by the end of the year, they're almost faded to the point where you can't read it. So I don't recommend this per se, but they do work as long as if the sun is not beaming on it. If the sun is beaming on it, once the plant is in a pot, just take the tag out from, instead of it sticking up so you can read it, just take it out and lay it down inside the pot with the writing down. It won't fade. So you're better off doing that than have it fade, and you're going to be like, well, what was this again? And believe me when I tell you, when you're growing this many plants and varieties, you're not going to remember. You're going to think you remember, but you're not going to remember. So I got a pack of seeds ready here, and we're going to plant out one cell for you, and then the rest I'm going to do off camera because you don't really need me to do this. We'll plant them out. Let's see, where can you see? Can you see right here? Okay, so we'll do this one. Let me tell you, I had a hard time getting the soil in these trays because that soil was soaking wet. It was literally like packing mud into here. I never had to go through that before, but I am pressed for time. I didn't realize it was going to be this much of a pain in the neck, but I had no choice. So if your soil is soaking wet like that, if you have the opportunity to cut the bag open and then let it sit out in the air for a day or two and let it dry out, I would recommend you do that. I wouldn't do this again if I had the choice, basically. But I have to get this up and started today. I need to get all my seeds done between today and tomorrow, so I'm not that far behind. I'm already like 2 weeks behind as it is. So, but anyway, here I got the 4 seeds here, and basically what I do is I just put those 4 seeds right on top. Now this soil's a little wetter for me, so normally I use something like this, You just want to get them into the soil a little bit. You don't need them in the soil very much. Just a little bit in there. 1/4 inch, as they say, and just pull the soil in around it. Like I say, this is wet, so it's kind of, in a way it's good, believe it or not, when it's this wet. Now make sure you put your tag in there too. Right away. See? That way I remember I did that. In a way it's kind of good because you don't have to worry about wetting the soil per se to get the soil moist enough and then the seed gets wet. With the soils wet like this is just like soil outside when it's spring and it's thawing out and it's nice and moist and wet like that and loomy, and seeds that fall down onto that sprout right away. So this is almost like a natural kind of setting. I don't even need to water this soil, it's so wet. It's not exactly muddy, but it's wet. It's a lot wetter than I would have liked. It made it really difficult for me to really get the soil in there comfortable. I had to take my time and break it up and push it in there, pack it. It was just a pain in the neck. Normally I'm done with this in about 10 minutes. But this took me almost 30 minutes, a half hour, 40 minutes, something like that to do to all of this. Because I had to make sure I break it up and put it in there, pull out the sticks. There's a lot of sticks in this soil too. But that's all right. I generally don't really care about that. As long as if the soil is a good, healthy soil and it's fresh and new and not old, used soil, yeah, you're not going to have a problem. They're going to grow pretty quickly. And then I'm going to feed these later on with, you know, I got like a fertilizer mix I'll use. I'll do a video on that separate. And then once they all sprout and they come up like that and I see like the first leaves come out, then I'll give them a light feeding of either Miracle Grow, which I already have, I like to use that up, or I'll give them a light feeding of something else just to give them a little bit of a boost, and that'll give them a good head start. And I have 90 watts of light on top of this, so that's pretty good for now. They might get a little bit leggy to get to the light, but these are only going to be in here for about 2 to 3 weeks at best. And being these are mostly peppers is really all I really want to start early. Being these are all peppers, they're going to take a long time to grow. Most of these are very long late season, so it'll work itself out. So I think that's about it. That's how I make my tags. I use these blinds. Make sure you pick those up. Or if you got blinds with all these at the bottom of the blind, you have all those extra things at the bottom. You could shorten that blind. Just take off all the extra stuff. You don't need all that excess blinds, and you use that, and you can make hundreds, if not thousands, of these little tags. And they work great. Been using them for over a decade anyway. I'll go over some of the varieties maybe on the next video when everything sprouts up, because I don't know what's going to sprout and not going to sprout. And so that's basically it. That's how I start my seeds. Normally, like I say, my soil is not usually this moist, so it's a little bit of a cumbersome video as far as that goes, because usually my stuff looks a lot better than that. But it is what it is, guys. You know, I couldn't help the situation. I didn't realize it was going to rain for 3 days. And that bag of soil was already moist when I got it, but after it rained for 3 days, man, that was really wet. Anyway, that's it. That's how I start my seeds. I'll give you an update once they come up and they grow. We'll go over some of the varieties and stuff I'm growing. We'll go from there. All right, so if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, folks.